What is it going to take to have some real accountability for Dr. Fauci and his many, many, many failures? Here to answer that and so much more, Senator Rand Paul. Senator, we have the emails, we have the NIH letter, we have the Intercept documents. We've got them all. There's no ambiguity that I see. Do you have any doubt at all that the NIH, Dr. Fauci, funded gain-of-function research at the Wuhan lab of virology, and that they knew about it and that they lied to you in Congress under oath?
And that he continues to lie. But you have to realize that Dr. Fauci has a self-interest in the origin not being from the lab, because he funded this lab, he funded these experiments. He knows that he will be given responsibility for the pandemic if it came from the lab. So he's doing everything he can, and he has from the very beginning, to cover up. But no, all of the evidence points towards it coming from the lab. They've studied 80,000 animals, and not one animal have they found that has COVID. They've taken COVID and tried to reinfect bats with it, and lo and behold, it doesn't infect bats very well. It infects humans perfectly. So the evidence just isn't there for it to come from nature. He simply says this because he's pushing back really hard, because he doesn't want to get the responsibility or the blame for this. But whether or not there was gain of function, they take viruses, they recombine them, they merge them, and then a new virus is created that doesn't exist in nature, and then they test it to see if it infects humans. Well, they don't know in advance whether it will or won't, and Dr. Fauci says, well, it's not gain of function if we don't know in advance. Well, the experiment is done combining these viruses, dangerous viruses. Just saying we don't know in advance is not enough to say it's not gain of function. So that's what he's hiding behind. Then they changed the definition. So the same day they sent a letter to Congress, October 20th of this year, they also scrubbed and changed the definition on there. So no, it's a vast cover-up, and it's a vast cover-up because Dr. Fauci realizes now 5 million people died from this, and people are looking my way. Even his scientists all said initially it did come from the lab, and then he corralled them, and within a couple of days they changed their mind. But they won't let us see those meetings or see the minutes from those meetings or those emails, because they're afraid we will discover that it was Fauci rounding the wagons, circling the wagons, and trying to prevent any culpability on his part.
Senator, we have 5 million dead people abroad, nearly 1 million dead Americans here, over 700,000 now. And, you know, we now know that Dr. Fauci said in 2012 that even if it caused a worldwide pandemic, he would still support gain-of-function research, which in and of itself is unbelievable. But from 2014 onward, they spent, and I'm reading directly, $3.7 million given out over a 5-year period for coronavirus grants, the risk of coronavirus emergence. And a lot of that money was used on this particular lab.
And realize that in August of 2020, in the midst of the pandemic, when all these questions were being asked, did it come from the lab? Did it come from nature? They reapproved another $1.5 million for 2020 through 2025 for EcoHealth Alliance, the same group that is doing this gain-of-function research. But it could even be worse, Sean. Some of the viruses that they're working and recombining with unknown viruses have lethality or mortality of 50%. The MERS is a coronavirus from early 2000s. It had a 50% mortality. They're taking it and merging it with unknown bat virus and saying, hey, wonder what kind of virus we'll get and wonder whether it'll infect humans. Not understanding that it could be something that could be, you know, risky to the entire civilization. And there are objective scientists who are not partisan. Kevin Esfeld is a MIT lauded researcher, does this CRISPR research that may eventually cure genetic diseases. He says that he's worried that this could be civilization-ending type of research, and there needs to be investigation. We've not had one hearing to investigate this. I've asked repeatedly for Democrats, let's have a bipartisan hearing to investigate this kind of research and make sure this doesn't happen again. Well, zero. We've got nothing from them.
Well, you've been proven right the entire time. It seems like it's follow the science, but only when it's convenient. You did a great job this week, and I hope people are paying attention. Dr. Fauci needs to be fired. Thank you, Senator Rand Paul.